So there's a verse in Hebrews that I used to always struggle to understand, and it's Hebrews 12:1, and it says this: "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up, and let us run with endurance the race God has set before us." What I didn't understand was how there could be something that slows us down that is not sin. What is tripping us up? What is slowing us down in this race God has set before us if it's not sin? What else is there? So what God has shown me in recent years is that not sin item that's slowing us down is the equivalent of spiritual junk food. It's often things that we are doing, things that we are using, things that we are consuming that are not spiritually healthy for us, but are not inherently sinful. So as we're doing in this series, we're going to take a look at what that looked like physically first, and then what it looks like spiritually as well. I've always had poor nutrition, and a lot of it is ignorance, but even now I struggle to make wise choices for myself on what to eat. Even now, there are things that I know for a fact are not good for me, but I eat them anyway because I enjoy them. I love eating, I love food, and when I started working out, it almost became this excuse for eating more junk because I was working out, my hunger increased as it tends to do, right? I'm doing cardio, I'm lifting heavy weights, I'm building muscle, which burns fat, which then my body is like craving more, my metabolism is changing, but I kind of like made this deal with myself at first, that first year of like, well, you work out so you can have one sugary treat a day. Like that somehow offset it. Like a sugary treat, by the way, could like a pint of ice cream. It was a lot of cookies, or it was hot chocolate. It was stuff that was still really not great for me at all whatsoever. And I ended that first year of working out weighing more than I've ever weighed in my entire life. And before you say that that was added weight from muscle, 100% it was not. It was added weight from unhealthy fats from poor eating choices that I made. So I started the next year with a Daniel fast, which is pretty common for me. And it involves not eating sugars, a lot of processed foods, unhealthy junk, essentially. And I noticed a change in how I felt overall. There is a trainer in the workout program that I use a lot, and she'll say this thing usually during cardio workouts, where she'll say, "Do you know what the best cardio workout is? It's not eating crap." And it's kind of funny, but it's very true. And I've seen it a lot in my own life. Now that I'm more aware of how my body responds to certain foods, if I have a day where I've just eaten complete and utter junk, the next morning in my workout, I feel heavier. Things are harder. It's harder to breathe. It's harder to move. I feel physically weighed down by the junk that I ate the day before. Now, I have not figured it all out just yet, just so you know. I do still eat an entire pizza in one sitting, like once a week, because I haven't figured out yet what to swap it out with that's healthy. But I am learning and growing. But in the ocean of knowledge about diet and nutrition, what I know is literally like a drop. But I have started gradually making some changes. And what's interesting is I found that certain foods impact me in ways that are surprising. Things like almonds and pistachios that are actually good for you. When I eat them, they make me so tired, I can barely stay awake. I feel like I've been drugged. I know other people can eat them during the day and be just fine, but for some reason, they dramatically impact me. I had this friend several years ago who told me she couldn't eat corn because it made her cry. It made her so sad that she would cry when she ate corn. And that sounds wild, but there is actually a scientific basis for it if you look it up. It's crazy. I can eat corn and it does not make me sad. However, simple sugars do. I found that there are certain sugary drinks or things that have an excess of sugar. I drink it and I immediately feel tired, anxious, and super depressed. Other people might not have that same experience, but for me, that's how it impacts me. So earlier this year, I did a pretty short fast, and I specifically fasted from caffeine and from social media. If you've ever done a social media fast like that, you might have had the same experience I did, which is that throughout the whole time I was fasting, I would pick up my phone and I would open it to where I thought that app was going to be. And I would it's like my fingers were on autopilot trying to find this app and just open it up and look at it. Luckily, I had deleted them off my phone in advance, but even then, it was like once I had my phone up and I was looking for whatever that social media app was, I would be like, well, if that's not there, so now what? Like, I'll just check my email for the third time, or make sure I've responded to messages, or refresh the news app in case something exciting just happened in the world, or see what the weather is like. It was like I always had to be doing something, and I was doing it mindlessly. And I did it with the caffeinated drinks too. Like, if I wasn't having coffee, I was still looking for some sort of tasty bev to just fill a space in me that needed something. This is about the time that God lovingly but firmly shook me and said, "You are addicted to consuming." And it's so true. I don't know if this is just a me thing, this constant need to be doing something or ingesting something 24/7. If it's our society, I'm honestly not sure. But God was right. It's like there's something in me constantly driving me to be consuming, whether it's food, whether it's drink, social media, news, entertainment, something to be doing, something to be learning, some information to be gathering. It was like I always have to have something that I'm taking in, and I don't know why that is. So through that fast, I started learning maybe to just stop. Maybe when I had that desire to reach for the phone, I could just stop and just sit in his presence for a minute. If I had the desire to get a drink to replace the caffeine, instead to just sit in his presence, to maybe ask him if he was trying to show me something in that moment, which is really the purpose of a fast, right? Is to be still in those areas that you are not still, and to be focused on God in those moments. But is the only response to just stop consuming? I think times of denial, times of fasting, they have their place, right? They have their place in scripture, but I don't know that that's always the answer, right? At some point, you have to be consuming something. So how do we know that what we're consuming is healthy for us, is good for us on a spiritual level as well as physical? And how do we know if it's something that maybe we shouldn't be ingesting in the first place? So maybe to borrow the kind of joke from the physical trainer, I would say spiritually, the best spiritual cardio workout you can do is to stop eating spiritual crap. But how do you know, again, what is spiritual crappy and what is not? I heard a pastor share a similar thought, and the conclusion he had come to when he was watching certain TV shows or movies or listening to music was that certain things in his life were not life-giving. And it really put words to something that I had been feeling for a very long time. So as I'd grown closer to God, I found that there were things that had previously interested me that now began to not sit right with me for some reason. It might have been a sense of unease, a sense of being unsettled in some way. And in some cases, I had almost an adverse reaction. Things started turning my stomach. Things made me feel angry or frustrated that maybe hadn't had that impact on me before. Maybe one of the most telling side effects of how what I was consuming impacted me was the way that my thoughts changed. And music is probably the best example for this. There were a lot of songs, pop culture songs, that I enjoyed singing along with or dancing to. They were just kind of fun songs, right? And a lot of times, maybe I didn't feel like they impacted me one way or the other. There are other songs that may be deep and meaningful and you just really feel it, and I love those. But what I found is that probably 99.9% of music that is not Christian is really focused on this idea of me, of an individual, of what I deserve, how other people should be treating me, how I was wronged by other people, how I deserved better than that, how people should do what needs to be done in order to please me and to fill my needs and to fill my wants. So I started switching out what I was listening to and really focusing almost exclusively on worship music or Christian music. And I noticed my perspective changed. My thoughts started to change. I was less focused on what I wanted and what I needed and more on what God wanted me to do, what God wanted to form me into. It was less about what I thought people should do for me, what I deserved, and more about what I didn't deserve, but Jesus did for me anyway. It has actually made a huge impact. And honestly, TV shows, movies have had the same impact on me. I'll start watching something and get this sense of this holy indigestion, and I'll stop and say, all right, is this really life-giving to me? And if it's not, I'll just stop watching it. For a while, I was hesitant. I was like, I have to see it through, or go read the synopsis to see what happens. But honestly, in the end, it was just better for me overall to just cut ties as soon as I get that little Holy Spirit feeling inside and just be done with it. Because My life, my thought life, my spiritual health is way too valuable for whatever that piece of media is. Even something like an iPhone game has had a huge impact on me in a negative way. So there's this one particular game, I played it years ago, and it like consumed my thoughts. When I wasn't playing it, I was thinking about when I could play it. I was filling in these spare moments in my life with this game. And it had certain bonuses and things that you get certain times of day. So I would literally schedule life almost around this particular game. I set limits on my phone that after 2 hours a day, I think it was, that I would stop playing. I would literally hit ignore and just keep playing the game. And I did that every single day. So eventually I got rid of it, realized I was addicted, got rid of it. And a couple years later, I re-downloaded it. I guess I thought that I had spiritually matured enough that I could handle it, but no, exact same pattern. And even this week, the week that I'm recording this, I had this thought in the back of my head of like, maybe I could start again and like start fresh and everything would be different. I was like, no, I have to draw a line somewhere. I have to say I'm not going to download this. And it sounds so silly and so stupid that I'm talking about an iPhone game and how that could impact spiritual health. But the truth is, it's a distraction. It's distracting me from how God might want to be using me in my daily life. And if things are changing my thoughts, having such an impact on my thoughts that I'm thinking about them, even when I don't necessarily want to be, maybe that's not the best thing for me. These are the things that aren't necessarily sinful. In some ways they can be, but in many ways they're not. But there's still these weights that just drag us down. They're things that trip us up. They're things that slow us down from this race that God has set before us. So these are my questions to you. What are you consuming? What are you consuming that is actually life-giving to you? And what are you consuming that maybe you've been feeling a certain type of way about and it's not life-giving to you? And maybe it's time to cut ties with those things. What are you watching on TV? What movies are you going to see? What books are you reading? What music are you listening to? What are you looking at on your phone? What social media accounts are you following? Are you being sucked into the comment section? Are you participating in the comment sections that maybe you shouldn't be? Are you engaged in political debates that are doing no good, but just making everybody a little bit angrier every single time they log in? What are you actually doing that's feeding your soul and feeding your spirit? And what are you doing that's weighing you down and unhealthy to you? Are you looking at Jesus through the lens of what you're consuming? Or are you looking at what you consume through the lens of Jesus? Okay, so maybe you think that these things don't impact you, that you are not influenced by these things. Maybe you think that I'm too susceptible to that. And maybe, honestly, I am. Maybe I'm easily persuaded by things and easily impacted by things. But if you don't listen to me, please listen to the Spirit and listen to your soul and ask yourself genuinely, are these things life-giving to you? And I kind of think that maybe some of the things that are life-giving to me might not be as life-giving to you and vice versa, right? Maybe it's like the almonds and the pistachios and the corn. But we can't all just be like, well, if it feels good to me and it seems right to me, then it's okay for me, even if that's not okay for you. We need a source of truth, right? We need some sort of baseline. Thankfully, God has already given us that. And Paul does a great job of outlining it in Philippians 4:8. And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. So that's it. Maybe we ask ourselves, is this something that's praiseworthy? Something I can praise God while I'm watching or doing? Is this something that is true? Is it right? Is it pure? Is it admirable? And if the answer is no, maybe it's time to start swapping out those unhealthy items for some more healthy options, right? See what impact that has on your thought life, on your spiritual feelings, right? On your quality time with God. See how that changes as a result of these small changes you could make and what you consume in a day. So let's commit to listen to our souls, listen to the Spirit. Let's commit to being vigilant about throwing off every weight that's slowing us down, everything that's tripping us up, and just running full speed ahead on this race that God has laid out for us. And then please, I would love for you to come back next week as I share about something that has been a consistent struggle in my faith walk, and I can almost guarantee that you have struggled with it as well if you are not currently struggling with it. So have a great week.